Hi there. Ito ang ating patuloy na pagdi-discuss. But this afternoon, this video presentation is actually intended for my students. So technically, for those who have some other agenda, this is not really that video for you. It would tackle very special issues about the politics. Not only politics in the Philippines, but it will be tackling a little bit more on the side of geopolitics. Of course, this is not a kind of video that is fit for grade 7 students, but they have to understand it because I'm sure even at grades 8, 9, and 10, this kind of topic will not be addressed. Unfortunately, for that matter, I'm not handling grades 8, 9, and 10. I'm only handling grade 7. But of course, my knowledge is more encompassing, modesty aside, than my other, I would say, compatriots in grades 8, 9, and 10. Most of them are just plain AP teachers. They had no other engagement aside from that. They had been exposed in any government affairs. So their understanding of concepts when it comes to geopolitics is very limited. Now, let me talk about this afternoon, and I want my students to be particularly aware of this, that despite the changes going on inside the country right now, we have so many issues happening. We have so many things that we are tackling right here. We have so many pre-election events, that how we call that, because in just few more days we have our election days coming. So it's actually just few more days. This election comes, we have more issues relating to campaigning, and when once campaign starts, you see, people would start behaving differently, abnormally. So yeah, just try to silence my phone. Now, let us look a little bit backward. Let's say 7 months ago. 7 months ago, the Philippines had a very unique balikatan exercise. Let me say that unique and emphasize the word. Unique in a sense because during the time, we had 17 countries observers. If you remember, nakakaalala o hindi alam. Yung mga estudyante ko, naalala o hindi alam. But you have to know this because it's very important for you to be aware of what's happening. As I've told you, my students, you are the future mayor, councilor, barangay captain, directors of government bureaus. You will become managers of government financial institutions. You will become even congressmen or senators, or who knows, one of you will become president. So this is propping you up, making you look forward by looking backward, to make your mind see better, smarter. That's the purpose. To be able to see forward better and smarter is to look backward with introspection and deep thinking. 7 months ago, we had our very own unique exercise. Unique because we have 17 observers, as I've mentioned. That would include the France. We have French people came here. We have South Korea. We have Australia. We have Japan. Of course, Japan is sort of part of us. And some other European countries coming over. At the time, we had also specialized components. You have the HIMARS, brought by the US right here. And of course, as I know it, most of them were retained. And the most controversial Typhoon system, missile system, were retained here. One thing very important with the participation of the 17 countries, I mean, as observers, they were designing at a time, or they were engaged at a time, for a very unique component of warfare, and that is cyber warfare. In the old days, cyber warfare was not part of the dictionary. But we happen to be in a time in our world history wherein capabilities in the net, in cyberspace, became crucial. If you have a little background of what happened in Israel and its war with Hezbollah, that's a very good example. If you notice that time when Hezbollah were using their pagers, you would ask, why pagers? Today is the word of smartphones. Why pagers? You see, in pagers, that broadcast is easier to do. I'm sure you are not familiar with any pagers anymore. You're a lot younger, so you're not familiar with this. But these are type of communication device, very easy to manage. Maybe you want to do some kind of blast of messages, you can have it, and the messages would come like a lot faster, a lot easier, because the server of these devices are more simply, more manageable. They're smaller capacity, but they function a lot well in that very simple messaging system. Don't you know that those pagers that exploded were actually propped 10 years ago, before the execution? Israel, one of our partners of the Philippines, they propped that, they, prepare that for that day, 10 years ago. You see, in war, it's not more of just the strength. You look at Israel, very small country. It is the strategy that matters most. With Philippines now being joined not only by America, but by countries like Japan, who, without us explaining it, is a smarter country than China in its kind of inventions. You look at the inventions of Japan in terms of robotics, in terms of machineries, is a lot smarter than China. Stronger, smarter, better. Then you have South Korea, also has smarter and better machines than China. They're not copying, they're inventing. China is good in copying, but of course they're copying. Sometimes they're just very poor. They're good at copying cell phone. I think they're good at that. Cell phone. And can be used in warfare. A lot of Filipinos using Xiaomi, Huawei, Redmi, Oppo, Vivo. These are Chinese products, right? And remember those devices Israel sold to Hezbollah 10 years back? Exploded after 10 years. Those devices. And not only those pagers, but also the talkies. I mean, walkie-talkie, the handheld radios. So here in the Philippines, during that unique exercise I mentioned 7 months ago, we had a participation of 17 countries as observers. But actually they were also at the same time preparing for what we call cyber warfare. And you would wonder, as a Filipino, why is it very important for the Philippines to prepare for this contingency, and why the world is interested on the Philippines? Well, look back a little bit. The Philippines is a part of what we call the Pacific Ring of Fire. Volcanic activity is very strong. And of course, we could have some sort of conclusion that Philippines is blessed with minerals that has been formed by volcanic activities. Reason why the highest grade mineral of nickel and cadmium used by China on BYD cars are not from China. They're from the Philippines, from the island of Humunhun. You see, you read about Humunhun Islands. Most of you, maybe all of my students here, and anyone who would stumble into this video, you don't know about that. Humunhun Island, where I stayed for a week and a day, I guess, is very blessed of a very high quality deposit of this what we call rare earths element, and also of very high quality of nickel, cadmium, cobalt, chromite, all the stuff. And China, even right now as I'm speaking, still buying those minerals. They are trying to destroy the island. And who's the governor of Samar, Eastern Samar? Gob, yayari dyan. Mukhang sirang-sira na yung Humunhon. For you Filipinos who are not aware of this, you may look into the web and then try to look into Humunhun. Use Google Map and you'll find out what's going on in Humunhun Island. The very island where the Spaniards came and they first saw that island. Before they saw any part of the country, they saw Humunhun. I'd been to Barangay Magallanes, where you have that crown, cement crown, and they have those articles of decorations. Those decorations left by Spaniards were destroyed by Filipinos, of course. They thought those were some kind of gemstone, not knowing they were just simple glasses. And yeah, of course. How would they know? How would they know? Now, so not only that, I'm only talking of one island. I've also rich deposit of gold. And another issue here, aside from mineral deposits in the Philippines is so located in a very critical position in the navigational highway, from which, if you look at it, you would see a very strategic location of a country that could possibly control the flow of trade, wherein about $3 trillion of goods passes through internationally. So we're in a international navigational highway, wherein the commerce of goods can be easily choked. And so China and other countries are very much concerned of their connection to the Philippines. There is that island of the Philippines just very close to China. We call it I forget the name of this small island. We call it the Basa Pass. So in that small island, look at that. In that small island, they have this. Look at that small island of Philippines, New Taiwan, and it gives us what island? Of course, Batanes, but Batanes is not a small island; it's an archipelago. Mavulis, I think that's the island. Batanes is the nearest group of island, but there's this particular island, the Mavulis, Mavulis Island, wherein we positioned some critical weaponry. And you have seen Ukraine against China, right? I mean, against Russia. Russia is a lot stronger than China in terms of technology, warfare technology. And a weak country like Ukraine, compared to China, was able to withstand the attack of Russia. Sorry, kind of confused with China, I think. Was able to withstand Russia because America was sending its weaponry. In the Philippines today, it's not America sending its weaponry. America has its weaponry in the Philippines. We have now more than 9 bases that America has access directly on these bases. In fact, they have their weapon stocks on the bases, especially in Palawan, and of course going to the north area because it's near to Taiwan. America has already stocked weapons. And the very critical Mavulis Island is having a very significant role in this new, I would say, game, neo-colonial game, like what we have studied. Because this colonial power before are now exerting their presence in their colonies before. And of course, China was among those colonies of these European countries by the British, of course. Gaya na sinabi ko sa inyo. And the Philippines, a colony of the Americans and Spaniards, and by 2 years, colony of the British Empire. Maybe some of you hasn't heard about that, but you would know if you go deep in our history. You'd find out that during the Spanish colonization of the Philippines, British came over, took Philippines from the British hand, and we were under British rule for 2 years, and then back to the Spaniards. Then comes America. You'd find out today that despite the very chaotic political dynamics in the Philippines, the president seems to be detached, because right now the Philippines is trying to gain military power unknowingly to many. From number 54 during the time of President Th.B, we are now number 34 after 2 years under the Marcos administration. So hindi na tayo yung may sakit na bansa na mahina. We're not below and under. From number 54 and number 34 amongst the countries with strong military power. Pang 34 na, not 54. So in 2 years, Marcos administration was able to do that. So we may not see so much of this president doing a lot of videos and YouTube appearances and promoting many things and saying many things, but behind it, we are actually trying to regain power and stability as a country. To assert our claims, this president is smart enough to do that. So as we look forward into 2025 election, you have to be aware that there are many clowns right now trying to play politician. Okay, clowns playing politician, and many bobo butantes, of course, will vote for them. You see, I have told you about these politicians. You have the kinds of Mr. Padilla, Mr. Tolfo, and his brothers. Look at them. They will gang up the Senate, the Tolfos. While the Philippines is now having its problem, these crazy politicians are also what? Taking the opportunity to molest the country. Dahil kadamihan ng mga butante ay bobo. See? And that's our problem. That's our very problem. Isang bagay pa. See? Ba't napakahalaga ang role ng Philippines? Napakahalaga ang role ng Philippines dito sa South China Sea because it's the vital point wherein America can stop China's advances and to stop China's plan. Chinese has a plan. They call it the 100-year plan to overpower America. And Philippines is the key for America to stop it. As future leaders of the country, there's a question. What can you do to improve the stability of this country? Sa pagpili ng mga politiko, ano magagawa nyo para maging maayos ang bansa? See, 5 years from now, you will become what? Councilors, of course, voters. Okay? You will become barangay captains or whatever it is. Ano mga political plans ninyo. But you have to remember that. Mawala na kami. Then you have now the responsibility to do it. As country's leaders who would do things for the common good of this country, what are you willing to sacrifice for the country? See? Look at the president today. Tahimik siyang tingnan, naaway, sinasabing weak leader, walang nagagawa. But look, sa panahon niya, hindi na pang 54 ang Pilipinas, kasama doon sa napakahinang mga bansa. Na ang tawag sa atin noon ay weak powers. Tayo ngayon ay middle power. Hindi na tayong mahina na nasa ilalim. From number 54, panahon ng Presidente Duterte, na sobrang mayabang, ngayon from number 34 na tayo. Matahimik, pero may ginawa na kakaiba. Hindi kasi siya mayabang. Si Duterte noon, ang problema ng Presidente Duterte noon, sobrang mayabang. Yan ang problema sa matandang yon. With all due respect sa kanya. Kalakas magmura, nakipagkaibigan ng todo sa China, at tayo naging kawawa. So, future leaders of the country. Napakahalaga na ating role na nagko-control tayo ng tinatawag nating international trade route. It is the route wherein the business of the world passes through. About $3 trillion of that business passes through this route on the South China Sea, partly the Philippine Sea. And of course, we have that Basa Pass just across Taiwan, na ang kaharap na isla naman natin ay ang Mavulis Island. So, bilang mga future leaders ng bansa, I hope that you have something in your mind to do. I want you to exercise a bit your mind. Ano yung naiisip nyong magandang gagawin para sa bansa natin? Of course, this is just a simple exercise. And this will not merit so much, but it's an extra thing for everyone. So, you may not react on this, but of course, It would help you think smarter with this very slight information. Because the country now is preparing for something unique again because of its rule in terms of international supply trade route. So unique ang role ng Philippines. Kaya ano ba magagawa natin? Future leaders of the country. As I've told you, stop thinking as mere students. Start thinking as future leaders of the country. Because you are the future leaders of this country. Think smarter than ordinary students. Because you are no ordinary students. You are the future of this country. Future leaders, what will you do? Say it loud. Speak out. Tell us, ano bang pwede nyo gawin? So, it's a challenge and it's a call for young minds as you are. Nga na sinabi ko sa inyo, kailan ipiprepare para sa giyera? Kailan? Kung walang giyera. Dahil hindi tayo mag-prepare kung may giyera na. So you have to prepare first our mind, then later some other preparations necessary for it. When you're prepared, you're smart. Because when you're not, bubo ka. Di ba? Bubo ka ang bulaklak. And maraming taong ganun. Kahit sa pagpili ng leader, pabubo-bubo. Tapos naghahanap ng ng maayos na bansa, matapos nilang salaulain ng bansa sa pagboto ng mga bobong mga leader, bobong kagawad, bobong mayor, bobong congressman, bobong senador. Look at that. Naging comedy ang Senado, naging comedy ang Kongreso. Ang Kongreso ngayon, as I've told you, but we would take that from and other topics. So, this is just an extra lesson, extra sabihin natin pang pukaw ng utak. So I would like you to listen to this and gain more knowledge from these insights, and of course to be able to react smartly, to be able to speak out your point of view. So thank you, and I want to see your ideas as future leaders of this country. Ikaw, na leader nitong bansa, sa darating na panahon, paano mo ihahanda ang sarili mo at ang Pilipinas, at anong gagawin mo ngayon? Yan ang tanong para sa inyo.